Welcome back to part 2 of the Power Max Mini Challenge from Castle Combe. Now, race 1 was very much about tyre choice, and this season the drivers have been given much more flexibility about the setup.
So for this year we've changed the regulations to allow drivers to run the slick tyre on the front of the car and the wet tyre on the rear of the car when it's changeable conditions.
What I want to know is why? What's the benefit in doing that?
Well, really it comes down to the fact that if in changeable conditions you run wet tyres all round, what tends to happen is that the front tyres become worn out, the rubber starts falling off them because they overheat, and that makes the car very difficult to drive in the latter stages of the race, and also ends up costing the drivers money because they've just blown a set of tyres. The flip side is if they went for slicks all round in those changeable conditions, then the car can be very difficult to drive, can end up being a bit of a tendency for people to have accidents. So this gives the best of both worlds. It puts the slick tyre on the front, which has the capability of handling higher temperatures, being really hard worked by the front wheel drive cars, and allowing the wet tyre on the rear to heat up quickly on the rear to generate some grip, but without having to suffer the pressure that comes from being on the front of the car.
From looking at the cars here in the assembly area, the popular choice seems to be for slicks all round. However, judging by that very black cloud up there, I'm not so sure. Race number 2 is a reverse of the top 8 in both classes, which sees Patrick Mortimer and Chris Stoney on pole. Let's go over to Ben for the full grid.
Well, under a sky that looks like a Sisters of Mercy album cover, Patrick the Raymeister Mortimer will be hoping that it rains. He lines up from pole alongside Keith Issat. Then row 2, it's Henry Dupree and Hamish Brandon from Neil Newstead and Lawrence Davey. Cordler Knox, a lot to do. In the Cooper class, Chris Stoney takes pole alongside Mark Wakefield. Then it's Matt Hammond, Ricky Page, Gideon Cresswell and William Phillips. Shane Stoney, of course, in 8th. Rolling start for this second race of the day, and it's Patrick Mortimer who paces the field through Camp Corner. Away we go, and Mortimer plants his right foot as the field almost 3 wide into Folly for the first time as they jostle for position. Same in the Cooper class. There is Shane Stoney. He's going to wait to see how Quarry unfolds for the first time of asking, as the JCW car's already up over Avon Rise. It's Lawrence Davey who takes the early advantage from Hamish Brandon. Mortimer holds on in third as problems in the Cooper class. Josh Gollin and Mark Wakefield ever coming together into the tyre wall for Josh Gollin. William Phillips also appeared to be caught up in that. There is Phillips recovering. Oh dear, Mark Wakefield will be underway, but Chris Stoney is out of the car, out of the race. Josh Gollin has got a front right wheel pointing the wrong direction. So the GW cars, oblivious to that, continue to do battle as the recovery vehicles arrive on the scene. I suspect we're going to see a safety car here. Hamish Brandon is who leads the way. Nonetheless, he has got Lawrence Davey right up behind him, and Davey looking to challenge here to take the lead as they sprint towards Camp Corner for the first time of asking. And then there's a little bit of a gap back to Henry Dupree in third place. Now the waved yellow flags. The safety car is out. The race gets neutralised, not really surprising. We've got 2 errant cars very close to the edge of the circuit. Or in fact, the red flag comes out now, the race being brought to a halt. And that is the reason why repair work required for the tyre wall at Quarry. The marshals at Castle Combe always do an excellent job. Today being no exception. We're about to go racing once more. And it's Patrick Mortimer then who leads the way from pole, all very congested behind, and it's Lawrence Davey who's been badly boxed in this time around. It's Neil Newstead, I think, who's going to make good the early running. Chris Knox biding his time. They will sort themselves out. Luke Cordler's also made an absolutely electrifying start. He is up into second place, so it's Newstead from Cordler, then Henry Dupree, Patrick Mortimer, Kevin O'Connor, and the rest of them. The Cooper class runners swooping through, and Shane Stoney chasing down the early leader, William Page. He has got Matt Hammond and Gideon Cresswell also to concern himself with, as jinking through. Yes, is on towards Old Paddock. Chris Knox beginning to ease up through the field, and Knox is a very tactically astute driver. He's not going to take unnecessary risks in these early stages. He sees what has happened earlier on. So Neil Newstead leads the way from Luke Cordle as they swoop through bobbies. Caudle looking to get himself right back onto the top step of the rostrum. They've got Henry Dupree and Lawrence Davey not too far back either as they arrive into the right-hander of Camp Corner. And Neil Newstead from Luke Caudle. Or is that going to be Caudle from Newstead, because Caudle's got the inside line for Folly and darts to the inside. Henry Dupree looking to challenge as well. Lawrence Davey up into fourth, then gap back to Chris Knox in fifth as Davey very late on the brakes into Quarry and loses it and slams into Neil Newstead. Newstead dispatched into the tyre wall. I suspect his race is over on the spot, and that was fairly hefty contact. I'm not convinced that Lawrence Davey is going to be able to keep going for much longer either. Luke Caudle is then who takes the lead from Henry Dupree and Chris Knox. Then the gap back to Patrick Mortimer, who's doing very well in fourth. He's got Hamish Brandon just tucked in behind him as they sprint on towards Tower. This is a golden opportunity for Luke Caudle, but Chris Knox has already eased his way up into second place. And really the narrative of this season has been the fact that Knox and Caudle are the pace setters. Don't have more rounds to go either. So there is Neil Newstead. He is fine, at least in body. I suspect mind and spirit slightly less so. Really, there's very little that he could do about that one. So the safety car comes out as his car is recovered to the flatbed. Lawrence Davey also out of the race. A great shame to see those two very quick drivers eliminated. Recovery done, safety car retreats, hopefully for the last time, as we go racing once more at Castle Combe. And Luke Caudle has seen his advantage over Chris Knox whittled away to absolutely nothing. So now really the boot is on the other foot. This is exactly as we had in race one, just a reversal of order. Already you can see Chris Knox really challenging Luke Caudle, and Caudle heavily on the brakes into Quarry, covers the inside line this time around. The challenge here at Castle Combe, because we don't really have much in the way of long straights, is that if you can just stick to the racing line, you can make it very challenging for your rival to pick a way past. And you can see that Knox was speculating to the outside at the S's. No joy there. We go in car with Chris Knox. For all the spectacle outside, he looks very calm and composed at the wheel. He's got Henry Dupree as well challenging him from behind. Hamish Brandon trying to get himself up onto the rostrum as well. So out of Tower and sprint into Bobby's, the second of the chicanes. Very low-lying curves here at Castle. Really hammer them and then just plant your right foot, sprinting on towards Camp Corner. This leading quartet breaking well clear then of the rest of the field. Caudle not easing away from Chris Knox whatsoever. Knox firmly ensconced in his toe. Hamish Brandon also trying to take advantage of the slipstream given off from the cars in front. In the Cooper class, it's Shane Stoney who leads the way from Ricky Page, and then Matt Hammond and Gideon Cresswell engaged in a very enjoyable tussle. Final spot on the rostrum. Chris Williams showing strongly. Wherever you look, there is always racing going on. There is Jo Polly Golden. She is having certainly her best weekend of the season thus far, as she looks to engage in battle with William Phillips and Adrian Norman. Lever having a good race as well. Podium finisher, of course, in the Cooper class. He looks to try and pick his way up the order. Shane Stoney, though, really has been the man to beat all season long in the Cooper class this weekend at Castle Combe, proving to be absolutely no exception whatsoever to that. So the Cooper class sprinting on towards Tower. The race leader, Luke Caudle, sprints across the start and finish line, and Knox is appreciably close this time around through Folly. Already you can see Chris Knox looking to line up the move, possibly over Avon Rise. He jinks to the inside, goes alongside Caudle on the brakes into Quarry, and Luke Caudle braking very, very deeply. Knox gets the car slowed down as Caudle slithers wide, and Chris Knox darts through. Henry Dupree follows as well. They accelerate on towards the S's, and Luke Caudle, in the blink of an eye, goes from first to third and maybe even fourth if Hamish Brandon can sneak past. Well, Chris Knox did everything he needed to do. He forced Caudle to overcommit on the brakes into Quarry. What has Caudle got by way of response? In the Cooper class, Ricky Page certainly keeping Shane Stoney honest. But at the moment, there's nothing that he can do about overhauling Shane Stoney. Stoney pushing very, very hard. He He looks well set to do the double at Castle Combe, as does Chris Knox. He makes it 2 wins from 2 races, just from Henry Dupree, with Luke Cawdell consolidating 3rd from Hamish Brandon. In the Cooper class, Shane Stoney well set as he accelerates out of Bobby's for the final time. He's got a 10 or so car length advantage over Ricky Page, and that is going to be nigh impossible for Page to close down between now and the checker flag. So across the line and victory for Shane Stoney, 2nd place for Ricky Page, and 3rd in the Cooper class going the way of Gideon Cresswell. What a lively and dramatic race. So in the JCW class, Chris Knox wins it from Henry Dupree, and Luke Cawdell, that top 3 separated by 1.5 seconds. Hamish Brandon, an excellent 4th. In the Cooper class then, Shane Stoney from Ricky Page, Gideon Cresswell overhauled Matt Hammond, with Simon Walton and William Phillips completing the top 6. So in terms of the championship, well, in the JCW class, it is Chris Knox who leads the way from Luke Cawdell and Lawrence Davey. In the Cooper class, Shane Stoney dominates from Josh Gollin and Ricky Page. An excellent weekend of racing then at Castle Combe, and time to celebrate on the podium with the champagne and trophies, and also the Sunoco Driver of the Day Awards going to Chris Knox in the JCW class and Joe Polly-Goldin for the Cooper cars.
It's been a massive learning curve. Obviously this whole season's been a big learning curve for me. The only real difference this weekend's been that Lawrence sat in the car with me. It's the first chance we've had for someone else to actually sit in and sort of just give me a few pointers. So it made so much difference just knowing that little bit extra that I can get out of the car, and it's got me right up in sort of into the pack now, so really good.
Safety cars, red flags, restarts, and lots of action in race 2. Wow. But class leaders Shane Stoney and Chris Knox still managed to come out on top. What a great day of racing. And there's more to come, but not from here. That's it from Castle Combe. We'll be out at Silverstone next time round. But until then, don't forget you can keep up to date with all things Mini Challenge on our website, Facebook and Twitter. See you soon. Take care.